Hello, we are back with Chapter 9, Measurement and Geometry, focusing on Lesson 5, Volume of Prisms and Cylinders. So we're just going to go ahead and find the volume of each of these figures. So let's go ahead and do the first one together. Remember that whenever we're finding the volume, we do that by finding of a three-dimensional figure by finding the area of the base and multiplying it by the height. So the first thing I want to do is determine, well, what is the area of the base? So this is a prism, right? We can't necessarily see the bottom, but we know that the bottom is going to be the same as the top, and that looks like a rectangle. So I'm going to say that the area of the base is equal to the length times the width. I'm going to go ahead and define my terms. The length is 7. The width is equal to 3. We substitute these values in. 7 times 3, and we get that the base is 21 inches squared because we're talking about the area of the base. And area is in inches squared. So now we know what B is. B is equal to 21. So B is 21, and the height is equal to 4. So we're going to substitute these values into our volume. Volume equals the area of the base, which is 21, times the height, which is 4. And we end up with 21 times 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8, which ends up equaling 84 inches cubed because it's volume. Volume is always in cubic units. So that is the area or the volume of the first figure. So let's go ahead and try the volume of the second figure. Again, the volume is found by taking the base and multiplying the area of the base and multiplying it by the height. This time, the area of the base is a little different. The area of this base ends up being a triangle. So we're going to say the area of the base is 1/2 base times height. And it's a little b because it's the base of the triangle. So if we look here, the base of this triangle here is 8. So b equals 8. And then the height is 5. So h equals 5. And we go ahead and just substitute those values into our equation. The area of the base is found by 1/2 times 8 times 5. If we take 1/2 of 8, 1/2 of 8 is 4. So we end up with 4 times 5. So the area of the base ends up 4 times 5 is 20. 20 centimeters squared. Okay, so we're going to go up here, and we know the area of the base is equal to 20, and then the height of this is going to be equal to 9. We substitute those values in, and we get 20 times 9. 20 times 9, 0 times 9 is 0, 9 times 2 is 18. Ends up being 180. So the volume ends up being 180 centimeters cubed. That's how much space this figure takes up. Perfect. So now it is your turn, ladies and gentlemen, to try problems 3 and 4. Make sure you use these as a guide. I want you to write your equations, define your terms, show all your work, all that fun stuff. Okay, so go ahead and do 3 and 4. There's our friend, the pause dragon, reminding you it's time to pause your device. When you get done, press play, and we'll go over the answers. All right, see you in a bit. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and determine what is the volume of problem number 3. So we know that the volume is found by taking the base and multiplying it by the height, the area of the base multiplied by the height. So when we look at the base, I'm looking at this right here is my base. okay? So I need to find the area of that. So the area of the base, that's a rectangle, so it's going to be length times width. I need to determine what the length is. I don't know what that is, but I do know the length of this one is 4.5, which is going to be the same here. So this is going to be 4.5, and then the width is going to be 8. So the length equals 4.5, and the width is equal to 8. So we're going to substitute those values in. We have 4.5 times 8, and then we just need to go ahead and do that math. So 4.5 times 8, 8 times 5 is 40, write the 0, carry the 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 would be 36. And then we have 1 decimal here, so that means we're going to have 1 in our answer. So our answer ends up being that the area of the base is 36 meters squared. Okay, so that's what the area of the base is. So my big B equals 36, and then my height, so the area of the base is 36, and then the height would be right here, would be 6. So I'm going to substitute those values in for my volume, and I have 36 times 6. So then I just need to figure out, well, what is 36 times 6? I'm going to do that right here. 36 times 6 off to the side. 6 times 6 is 36, right? The 6 carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 would be 21. So my volume equals 216 meters cubed. So there you have it. If you got that right, great job. All right, let's move on to problem 4. Problem 4, what shape is the base on this one? Well, I think it's pretty clear that the shape on this one is a triangle. Okay, so we're trying to find the volume. The volume for this formula is found by the volume equaling the area of the base multiplied by the height. So first we need to find the area of the base. Well, we know it's a triangle, so the area of the base is going to be the area of a triangle. 1/2 base times height. And the base is right here at 9, so B equals 9, and then the height is 4, so H equals 4. So we're defining our variables, then we're going to substitute those into our equation. So the area of the base is equal to 1/2 times 9 times 4. So for this one, I could do 1/2 times 9, or I could use the commutative property of multiplication and flip the order of those. And 1/2 times 9 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 9. I can flip the order, and that's totally fine. And then I would be finding 1/2 of 4, which I know half of 4 is 2. So then I have 2 times 9, which would be 2 times 9 is 18 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the area of that base is 18 centimeters squared. So going back to the volume, the area is 18. The height is right here. The height of this figure is 20. So we're going to substitute in the values. We get the volume equals 18 times 20. And then I just need to go ahead and do that math. I'm going to do it off to the side here. 18 times 20. That's a 0, so I'm just going to put a 0 here in the ones place and start in the tens. 2 times 8 is 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So it's 360. So 360 centimeters cubed. That would be the volume for problem 4. If you got that one right, great job. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to problem 5. So we're going to find the volume of this cylinder. So the volume of the cylinder is going to be the same thing. It's going to be the volume equals the area of the base multiplied by the height. So the first thing we need to determine, what does it say? It says a juice can is shaped like a cylinder. It is 12 centimeters wide and 16 centimeters tall. Find its volume to the nearest whole number. Use 3.14 for pi. So we're finding the volume to the nearest whole number. We know that the volume is equal to the area of the base multiplied by the height. Okay, so the first thing we need to find is the area of the base. So since it's a circle, the area of the base is going to be pi r squared. Okay, we know that this is 12 centimeters across. That is the diameter. We need the radius, which would be half of 12, which would be 6. So the radius is 6. So that means our area of the base is pi times 6 squared. And 6 squared is the same thing as 6 times 6, which is 36. Okay? The area of the base is approximately 3.14 times 36. Okay? So we're just going to go ahead and do that multiplication. 3.14 times 36. So 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. We're in the 10, so we need to put a 0 in the ones, and then we can start. 3 times 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9, and then we add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 2 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Write the 3, carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Now we just need to figure out where to put that decimal. And in the problem, there's 2 decimal places. That means in our answer, we're also going to have 2 decimal places as well. So the area of the base is going to end up being 113.04 centimeters squared. Okay, perfect. That's our area of the base. Okay, so the area of the base is equal to 113.04 centimeters squared. The height of this cylinder is 16. So we're going to substitute in these values. That means the volume equals 113.04 times 16. So to find the volume, we just need to do that multiplication. I'm going to go ahead and do that multiplication right over here on the side. So I'm going to have 113.04 times 16. Okay. 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 6 times 3 is 18. Write the 8, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, now I'm moving to the tens place, so I need to put a 0 in the ones place before I start. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. And now I add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. 8 plus 0 is 8. 7 plus 3 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 6 plus 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and then there's a 1. So we need to figure out where to put the decimal. And up here, there's 2 decimal places. That means in our answer, there needs to be 2 decimal places. So this is where I put the decimal right there. So it says, find its volume to the nearest whole number. So this would be the nearest whole number. I look here. This is a 5 or above, so it means it's going to round. This 6 is going to round that 8 up to a 9. So our volume is actually going to end up being 1,809 centimeters cubed. Right there. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the page and work on the next couple problems. So what we have is we have some different composite figures, and we're going to be taking the volume of these composite figures. So the directions say to find the volume of the composite figure to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth, use 3.14 for pi. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. So if I'm looking here at this problem, I see that I have a cylinder and I have a triangular prism there. So I'm going to have to take the volume of both, and then I'm just going to add them together. So first I'm going to start with this triangular prism on top. So I'm going to find the volume of that, which is going to be the volume is going to be the base times the height, okay? And I noticed that the base of this figure is actually a triangle. So my base is going to be 1/2 base times height. Now, all right, when I look at this problem, I notice that this is a cylinder, and so I'm going to say that this right here is referring to the 4, and this right here is referring to the 5 right there. Okay, so this is 4 and this is 5. So I'm going to go ahead and find the area. I'm going to call this my base. My base is going to be 5. So B is equal to 5, and then the height would be right here, and we're going to call that 4 for the area of the triangle. I go ahead and substitute those values in. The base equals 1/2 times 5 times 4. I know this is multiplication, so since everything's multiplied, I can switch the order. And just to keep things simple, I'm going to switch the order and make it 4 times 5, because 5 times 4 is the same thing as 4 times 5. And then I'm going to go 1/2 of 4 would be 2. So the base is going to be 2 times 5, which ends up being 10. Okay? So that means the area of this base of the triangle is 10. So I'm going to say volume of triangle. Triangle. That's what I'm finding first. So the base is 10, followed by the height of this triangular prism, which looks like it's 7. So the height is 7. So we're just going to substitute the values, and we have 10 times 7, which ends up being 70 feet cubed. Okay, so that's the volume of the triangular prism, which is going to be right here. So the volume of the triangular prism is 70 feet cubed. Now I need to determine what is the volume of the cylinder. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so volume of the cylinder I'm going to use the same formula. The volume equals the base times the height, except the area of the base this time is actually a circle. So the base is going to equal the formula for area of a circle, which is pi r squared, and the radius is 4, so r equals 4. Then we just substitute this into our formula, and we're going to use, remember, 3.14 for pi. So the base is approximately 3.14 times 4 squared. And remember, we have to do the order of operations, which states we have to do exponents first. And 4 squared is the same thing as 4 times 4, which is 16, right? So the area of our base is 3.14 times 16. I'm just going to go ahead and do that multiplication off to the side. And I get 3.14 times 16. 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. And then I'm moving to the 10, so I need to put a 0 in the 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 0 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus another 1 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus another 1 would be 5. I need to figure out where to put the decimal. There's 2 decimal places in the problem. That means there has to be 2 in the answer. So the answer ends up being 50.24. So that's what the area of the base is. The area of the base is 50.24. Okay. Now I just need to go ahead and put it into my volume formula. The base is equal to 50.24. The height of this volume is equal to 15. So I'm going to substitute these values into my formula. The volume equals 50.24 times 15. Now I just need to go ahead and figure out what that is. So I'm going to do it right here. 50.24 times 15. 5 times 4 is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 5 times 5 is 25. Now I'm moving to the tens place, so I'm going to put a 0 in the ones. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. And then I add 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 4 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 5 plus 0 is 5. And 2 plus 5 is 7. Need to figure out where to put the decimal. There are 2 decimal places here. So that means in my answer there needs to be 2 decimal places. So my answer is going to be 753.6 because it says to round to the nearest tenth. And over here is a 0, which doesn't do anything. So the volume equals 753, of the cylinder, 753.6 feet cubed. Okay, so that's the volume of the cylinder. That is all of this right here, all of this fun stuff. But now we need to determine, this is my fast highlighting job, we need to determine what is the volume of this entire figure, the cylinder plus the triangular prism. And to determine that, we have to add up both of the volumes. So that is going to be the volume of the triangular prism, which is 70, plus the volume of the cylinder, which is 753.6. We just need to go ahead and add up those two values. 6 plus 0 is 6. 3 plus 0 is 3. 5 plus 7 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. So the volume of this entire figure is 823.6 feet cubed. Boom. There you go. Awesome. And that's how you show all of your work. So let's go ahead and I want you to try to work on 7 and 8. Now use this for a guide. Write all the formulas, define your terms, show all your work. All right, where's our friend? Oh, there's the pause dragon. Remind you to pause your device. Work out problem 7 and 8. When you get done, press play, and we'll go over your answers and see how you did. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, we are back, and we're going to get started. I'm trying to make a line just to separate these two problems because I feel like I'm going to need all of this space. Okay, perfect. So we're going to find the volume of this composite figure. The volume, remember, is found by taking the base times the height, okay? Now here we actually have 2 figures. So I'm just going to go ahead and find the volume of the triangular prism first. So this is going to be volume of the triangular prism. Okay, that's what I'm going to find first. So to do that, I have to find the area of the base and then multiply it by the height. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the area of the base. The base is going to equal, okay, the shape of the base is actually a triangle. So that means my formula is going to be 1/2 times base times height and little b, which means it's just talking about the base of the triangle there. I need to define my terms. So this right here, this side is 2 centimeters, which means that this side is also going to be 2 centimeters right there, which is my base. So my base equals 2, and my height is equal to 1.5. I'm going to substitute those into my equation. Base equals 1/2 times 2 times 1.5. Perfect. Let's figure it out. So 1/2 of 2 is just going to be 1, right? So then I just have 1 times 1.5, which is just 1.5. Well, that's nice. 1.5 is the area of the base, so it's going to be centimeters squared. Okay, perfect. So the area of my base is going to equal 1.5, and then the height of this triangular prism is actually 4, so the height is 4. So when I substitute in my values, it's going to be 1.5 times 4. And to determine that, I'm just going to take that up here, 1.5 times 4. 4 times 5 is 20, right? The 0, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. I need to figure out where to put the decimal. I have 1 decimal place here, so my answer is going to have 1 decimal place. So that means that the volume is actually equal to 6 centimeters cubed. That is the volume of this triangular prism here. The whole thing is 6 centimeters cubed. Okay, perfect. Now let's go ahead and find the volume of this rectangular prism, which is on the bottom. So to do that, again, I have to use the volume formula. Which is equal to the volume equals the base times the height. But I need to find the area of the base, which, since this is a rectangle, it's just going to be length times width. So the area of the base is equal to length times width. The length is 8.5, and the width is equal to 4. So to find the area of the base, I'm just going to be multiplying both of those values together, equals 8.5 times 4. I'm not sure what that is, so I'm just going to have to do the math. 8.5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20, right? The 0, carry the 2. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 would be 34. This has 1 decimal place, so my answer is going to have 1 decimal place, which means that my answer is equal to 34. So the area of the base is 34 centimeters squared. Okay? So that's what my base is. 34. My height is actually equal to 9. Okay, so I'm going to substitute those values in for my volume. I have 34 times 9, and then I just need to determine what 34 times 9 is. So 34 times 9, 4 times 9 is 36, right? The 6 carry the 3. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 3 would be 30. So that means that the volume, I'm going to go down here. The volume of the rectangular prism ends up being 306 centimeters cubed. Okay? So that is the volume of this figure here. All of this three-dimensional figure. This ends up being 306 centimeters cubed. Okay, that's right here. But we're not done because we need to find the volume of the entire figure. So to do that, we're going to have to add both of these together. So the entire volume is going to be 306 plus 6, which is just going to be 312 centimeters cubed. So if you got that one right, great job. Perfect. let's move on to problem 8 and let's see how you did. So for problem 8, we have it looks like we have a rectangular prism on top, and we have a triangular prism on the bottom, okay? So let's go ahead and find the volume of the rectangular prism. First. Okay. So the volume of the rectangular prism is going to be the same. The volume is found by taking the base, the area of the base, and multiplying it by the height. Okay, let's determine what the area of the base is. So the area of the base is a rectangle. It's a 3 by 2. So it's a rectangle, so it's going to be length times width. The length is, 3, and the width is 2. So we substitute those values in, and we get 3 times 2, which is just 6. So the area of the base is 6 centimeters squared. So that's what the area of the base is. So big B equals 6, and the height of the rectangular prism is just 5. So we substitute in those values, and we get the volume equals 6 times 5, which means the volume is 6 times 5 is 30 centimeters cubed. So that is the volume of the rectangular prism on top here. 30 centimeters cubed. Perfect. So now we just need to determine what is the volume of the triangular prism. So the volume of the triangular prism. Whoops, prism. P-R-I-S-M, prism. Okay, to determine that volume, we need to use our volume formula. Our volume equals the base times the height. So we need to find the area of the base. The area of the base, since the base is a triangle, the area of the base is going to be the area of a triangle formula, which is 1/2 base times height, where the base of this is going to be 6, so B equals 6, and the height is 7. We go ahead and substitute those values into the area of our base formula, 1/2 times 6 times 7. And we get 1/2 of 6, or 1/2 of 6 is 3. So the area of the base is 3 times 7. 3 times 7 is 21. So that means the area of the base is 21 centimeters squared. Okay, that's what the area of the base is. So B equals 21. So that's what the area of the base is, and then we need to find our height, which is 5. And then we substitute those values into our volume of the triangular prism. So we have V equals 21 times 5. I'm not sure what that is offhand, so I got to go over here and figure it out. 21 times 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10, so it ends up being 105. So the volume of this entire triangular prism is 105 centimeters cubed. So that's what the volume of all of this is right here, this triangular prism. I'm going to try to do a speed highlight coloring job here to get the full effect. Okay, nice, nice. This is the volume is 105 centimeters cubed. Now, but we want to find the volume of the entire thing. So to do that, we need to add both the volume of the rectangular prism and the volume of the triangular prism. So we're just going to add up. The volume is going to equal 105 plus 30. 105 plus 30. If I take that off to the side, 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 3 is 3, and we drop down the 1. So that means the volume of the entire figure is 135 centimeters cubed. So if you went ahead and got that one right, yoga ni kimashita. You did a great job, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.